This is TG Wolff. Welcome to the last show of Season 6 and of 2023. You know, we never know what we're going to get when we create a theme or a prompt. And that was totally true with things like Go Jack in the Night. This has been a fun season, with our authors delivering great takes on the word Jack. We thank you for being a part of Mysteries to Die For, and we hope you enjoy this final Jack story. Welcome to Mysteries to Die For. I am TG Wolff, and I'm here with Jack, my piano player and producer. This is a podcast where we combine storytelling with original music to put you at the heart of a mystery. All of our stories are structured to challenge you to beat the detective to the solution. These are arrangements, which means instead of word-for-word readings, you get a performance that's meant to be heard. Jack and I perform these live, front to back, no breaks, no takes, no retakes, unless somebody forgets to turn the microphone off or on, and then Jack makes you start all over again. This is Season 6, Things That Go Jack in the Night. This season contains truly imaginative mysteries around one of the most common words in the English language. From the brandy distilled from hard cider known as applejack, to that nefarious one-eyed Jack, to the animals, vegetables, fruits, tools, weapons, and slang, the way the word Jack is used in the English language is truly unique, inventive, and too numerous for us to count. And yes, it's also the name of my piano player and producer. For episode 13, Jack Frost is a featured Jack. This is Jack Frost's Last Etching by TG Wolff. All right, Jack, what did you pick for the keyboard sound today?
This is Galaxia EP.
Epic?
Yeah, I don't really know what it means to be Galaxia EP. Granted, for all I know, that's supposed to be like 4 different words, and it's however it shows up in the. How many digits does this give me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So every single sound has to be written in 8 letters. So like, if it's accordion, it'll be like ACCDN or something.
Gotcha.
So everything's abbreviated. So the question is just whether or not I can translate what the abbreviation should mean.
Well, it does sound like icicles tinkling together rather prettily.
That's what I was going for.
Now we will find out if that is appropriate to today's story.
Alrighty, Bob.
The Last Party. The annual New Year's Eve party on Mother Nature's villa estate outside Athens, Greece, was in full swing. Mother Nature stood on the landing, a soft smile on her tired face as she looked over her guests. The baby in her arms cooed, a beautiful child who was fathered by time itself. In a few minutes, she would be presented to the assembled. After a long year of managing the weather, prepping for and delivering holidays, and sustaining folklore humans needed to exist within the world, all of her guests deserved this one night off. The Mothman and Bigfoot had taken over the music, creating a dance mix mashup of time-honored classics. El Nino and La Nina danced a swirling, spinning polka that cleared the floor in a 10-foot circle around them. The twins were never far apart and constantly bickered. The only time they were unified was when someone was foolish enough to insult one. The Tooth Fairy was at the dessert table for the 3rd time, while the Easter Bunny snatched the last slice of carrot cake from him and then doled it out to her brood of baby bunnies. Père Noël threw his head back and roared with a deep, big belly laugh that nearly made his pants fall down. And Jack Frost, the handsome sprite, glared up from his chess match with Alina Vera, the stunning fairy. It was another pairing of opposites. Jack painted the world in autumn colors and then etched winter glass with ice fern. Alina greened the earth in spring and summer, drawing leaves and flower from their summer. The bulk of the attendees were prior baby New Years. The babies grew physically to maturity, the human equivalent of late 20s. From the 1-year-old Noah, baby New Year 2023, to his infinitely older brother Ugg, the children represented the good in the world, the potential of the earth, and all who inhabited her. Father Time began climbing the spiral staircase, his bright eyes blue. "It is time, my love." Mother Nature smoothed her long dress and then tucked the child lovingly into her body. When he reached the top, she looked into the face with its deep laugh lines and smiled. "We're ready." Father Time extended his arm in a gentlemanly fashion and then slowly escorted Mother Nature down the sweeping staircase. The music stopped and all eyes drifted to the couple. They stopped on the landing, where Mother Nature shifted the child so all could see. "It is my honor to present Olivia, Baby New Year 2024, a child rich of character and grace." The clock struck the first chime of midnight, the start of a new day and a new year. The crowd erupted in a welcoming cheer. Mother Nature descended the last dozen stairs where Olivia was welcomed by her extended family. The music began again and the party resumed. A note of discord reached Mother Nature, and she found Jack Frost, the pickle, being shoved between El Nino and La Nina. The twins had storms in their eyes. Jack appeared amused. Mother shook her head. Jack was by far the wildest of the seasons. "Is he causing trouble again?" Père Noël looked down from his soaring height. "That boy doesn't know when to stop." "That boy, as you call him, is as old as you are," Mother said. "And he's temperamental, yes, but he's an artist. A more sober nature couldn't produce the colors of autumn." Just then, Liam, Baby New Year 2020, ran up to Jack and bit him on the hand. Jack leapt back, pulling his hand to his chest. He frowned at the toddler as snow began to fall around them. Père Noël threw his head back and laughed, only to scramble an instant later to grab the belt that wasn't holding the pants in place. "Liam, love," Mother called out, pushing Olivia into Father Time's arms to go after the child. "No biting." Disciplining a 4-year-old was hard, but she was a professional, perpetually having toddlers under her charge. Liam was weeping with remorse when Father Time joined them with a loud baby Olivia in his arms. "She just started crying," he explained, handling over the squealing bundle. "Maybe she's hungry." "I suppose she could be." Mother fed Olivia, changed the still-dry diaper, swaddled her, rocked her, burped her, bounced her. Nothing worked. "Something's wrong," Mother said. "Mother! Mother!" El Nino and La Nina pushed through the crowd, shoving everyone aside. "Come quick! Jack's dead!" Storming the greenhouse. Father Time held the baby against his body as he opened the heavy door to welcome the Titan dressed for a gala. "We're sorry to pull you away from the party, Themis. We didn't know who else to call." "Well, I would have been disappointed if Mother hadn't called me." She walked through the gate onto the spacious ground. "Who was hurt?" "Jack Frost," Father said, leading Themis around the house to the kitchen entrance. They rounded the brightly lit villa in its Mediterranean setting. Here, winter was still green and pretty, except where they had to step around an icy pile of snow crowned with a carrot, 2 rocks, and a scarf. "He was found in the greenhouse." Father opened the screen door to the kitchen and stepped inside. "But now they're in the freezer." Inside the state-of-the-art kitchen was a commercial walk-in freezer with a small group gathered outside. The door was ajar. Themis opened it, finding Mother Nature sitting on a wooden stool, cradling the hand of a young man. The sprite was handsome in a troublemaking way. His spiked hair ended in icicles, pale skin with blue-tinted lips. "Mother," Themis said softly, "has he passed?" "No," Mother said. "He is unconscious. The freezer is bringing his body temperature back down. Look at his poor throat, Themis." Themis entered the freezer, her sandaled feet peeking out from the long skirt with each step. Gentle fingers pulled open the shirt collar, exposing a raw, angry welt. "He's been strangled." Mother nodded, tears in her eyes. Jack's had a few rough years. You know, the temperatures are rising in the oceans and on the land. Jack had to work overtime to make flurries in places that were once winter wonderlands. When he wasn't painting autumn or making snow, he was educating the science community, advocating to leaders that the climate change was real and it was not natural. She patted his hand. He was making progress. He was hopeful. With so many nations and companies making commitments to reduce their carbon footprint, tonight was truly a celebration. He was his old self. Themis bent over the victim, noting the details on his neck, then the bite marks on his hands. She pushed her fingers into his rigid hair, finding a bump that shouldn't be there. It was on the back of his head and probably the reason he hadn't woke. Her inspection found nothing else out of the ordinary. She stood then, memorizing the face for whom she would find justice. She was Themis. That's what she did. Take me to where he was found, Themis ordered. Alina Vera, her appointed escort, held a lantern high. Mother's greenhouse is in the back of the villa. Of course, calling it a house doesn't do it justice. She giggled. No pun intended. The glass structure was a villa itself, a huge 2-level structure. Despite the comfortable temperatures, several of the glass panes were decorated with finely detailed ferns in icy white. Frost etchings, Themis realized, the work of Jack Frost. Impressive, Themis said, but I expect nothing less from Mother Nature. Did you find Jack? No, El Nino and La Nina did, Alina said with a disapproving sneer. What they were doing out here, I have no idea. Mother forbade them after the last time. They upset the greenhouse balance and killed more than half of the plants. Lights were on in the low left wing, illuminating a jungle contained by a ceiling. Do you spend much time in the greenhouse? Oh, yes, she said with delight. I often help Mother graft new varietals or develop hybrids. Growing plants is a specialty of mine, but that shouldn't come as a surprise. I am spring and summer. Alina stopped outside the greenhouse door. Shall we go in? It was obvious where Jack had laid. In the center of an otherwise spotless aisle was a smashed terracotta pot lying directly under long tendrils of thick vines. A short distance away was a champagne bottle. The bottom half was missing, and the bubbly had spread into a large white circle. Themis examined the vines. Those over the aisle were twice as long as the ones hanging over the table. Are these separate plants? Themis asked. No, Alina said, caressing the vines. Mother brought the parents from South America last July. She calls this little darling Hugo. Themis thought the growth pattern was unusual. She would ask Mother if she cut back the shorter vines. Alina, please ask El Nino and La Nina to join me. Then you're relieved of your duty to me. For centuries, El Nino and La Nina alternated playing with the merchant ships in the Pacific, often tying up the trade winds for days or weeks. The twins were nearly as legendary as Apollo and Artemis for their adventures. El Nino and La Nina stormed the greenhouse. Literally. The pair fell in through the door, bouncing off the tables and overturning no less than 5 potted plants. Themis shook her head at the destruction. I see why Mother banished you two from the greenhouse. It was his fault. La Nina was a vivacious young woman with long, dark, wild hair and dancing, soft brown eyes. He pulls until something breaks. Like you're any better. El Nino was a masculine version of his sister, with the lion's mane of hair and a square jaw. One of his eyes was slightly red. You push until something falls. Enough, Themis declared. Given that you are banished from this structure, tell me how you came upon Jack Frost. Well, I wanted strawberries to go with my champagne, La Nina began. We both remembered that Mother had all kinds of fruit in the greenhouse. So we came out here, El Nino said, picking up the story. The doors aren't locked. We just walked right in. We almost stepped on them, lying on the floor in the dark. I dropped the champagne bottle, La Nina said. We ran back to get Mother then. Did either of you check on Jack? Themis asked. Was he unconscious? That was her job, El Nino said at the same time his sister said he was too scared to. Which started an argument. Was not, were to. If I was, so were you, not as much as you. A reason to drink. Themis set up in Mother Nature's library. She personally interviewed the partygoers and drew out the sequence of events. Jack Frost was seen having scenes with 4 other guests: Baby New Year 2020, Père Noël, Alina Vera, and the twins El Nino and La Nina. The last to see him was Jessica, Baby New Year 1993. The blizzard that struck from Canada through the eastern U.S. to Cuba in '93 was dubbed the Storm of the Century. Though Jessica was a baby at the time, she said she and Jack connected over it. During a break in the music, sometime around 1 in the morning, she went to use the bathroom. As she saw Jack, he was headed toward the kitchen in search of ice cream. Now, one of the catering staff verified that Jack came into the kitchen and took a tub of cookies and cream ice cream out of the freezer. He was eating it, quote, divorced dad style, leaning over the sink with a spoon, when she left the room to refresh the fruit tray in the party room. When she returned just a few minutes later, the ice cream was sitting on the prep table with 2 spoons on top, and there was no sign of Jack. Of the rest of the interviews, only 4 were worth noting. Themis's current suspect was also the smallest and only slightly more cooperative than the twins. Why were you upset with Jack Frost? Jack's a meanie, Liam, Baby New Year 2020, said firmly. Mean, mean, mean. The toddler sitting on the chair 3 sizes too big was adorable. His light curly hair and soft brown eyes could melt even the coldest heart. But he had an agenda. Jack was mean. He made a snowman and then he knocked it down. It was my snowman. Mine! His scream could have shattered glass. The sound was an Amber Alert to the other Baby New Years who descended on the library en masse with all the patience and objectivity of a Salem witch hunt. Books were thrown from the shelves, chairs were overturned, tables shoved out of the way. Themis fended them off because, well, she was a titan. But there was no way 4-year-old Liam cold-cocked Jack Frost and then left him in a tropical death chamber. But his older brothers and sisters? Oh yes, there was potential there. If they attacked, well, Jack was no titan. Ho, 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 Themis. You can't think I had anything to do with this. Père Noël, a.k.a. Father Christmas, a.k.a. Santa Claus, a.k.a. Kris Kringle, leaned over his big round belly with a twinkle in his eye. The sheer number of aliases put the giant man on Themis's suspect list. If he had nothing to hide, why change his name? Still, she kept her line of questioning to the crime. I hear you and Jack have a chilly relationship. Père Noël waved off the question, leaning back in his chair. Jack and I have always gotten along fine. That is, up to the last few years. Look, there's a portion of the world where my days, December 24th and 25th, are supposed to be covered in a pretty white layer of fluffy snow. There are supposed to be flurries floating through the air, making every house seem like it's in a snow globe. He leaned forward, annoyed. They've written umpteen songs about it, for gosh sake. But lately, Jack won't do his job. Mother says he's trying. I say he's slacking. Why, if he worked for me... Well, he wouldn't be working for me, 'cause I'd fire him. Themis pursed her lips, considering. Did you threaten him? Père Noël blustered. Me? Why, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. I'm all about goodness and happiness. I've heard you're also about cookies and milk, Themis said. Did you join Jack in the kitchen for ice cream? Did you take Jack out to the greenhouse to teach him a lesson in goodness and happiness? No, I did not, he said absolutely. I'm on my post-holiday Mediterranean diet. No ice cream for me, he declared, until August. As for the greenhouse, I start sweating just thinking about that place. It's enough to make me empathize with the 50-year-old women everywhere. I'm more at home in the freezer than the greenhouse. Alina Vera sat in the chair next, her feet curled under her. I'll do anything to help. I appreciate that. Themis appreciated the opportunity for a rational, mature conversation. So, Alina, when was the last time you saw Jack? We played a game of chess, she said, fitting her skirt over her feet. It's sort of a New Year's tradition of ours. The winner gets September. I was winning until he cheated and took my queen. He cheated, Themis repeated. So much for mature. Are you sure he didn't outplay you? Alina snorted. Of course I'm sure. Besides, who wouldn't want another month of summer? Hot days, cool nights. She shrugged. What can I say? I'm the best of both worlds. The woman sure thought a lot of herself. Jack embodies autumn and winter, Themis said. So how did the two of you get along? Alina took a deep breath and sighed. We used to get along famously, but lately, well, he's just difficult. The world is changing. It's not my fault Earth is embracing spring and summer, but he just couldn't accept being the understudy to my starring role. I'll admit his fall colors are nice, and I do love his frost etchings. Well, there aren't as many of those as there used to be. Double-insulated windows are not frost-friendly. Again, though, not my fault. He just couldn't take it that his time was past. Did you go to the greenhouse? Themis asked. I frequently go to the greenhouse, Alina said. Like I told you, I help Mother with the plants. It's a talent of mine. Themis knew she would regret it, but she pulled up a second chair and she called for the twins. She held up a hand so as not to invite rhetoric and then stared at the brother. What happened to your face? The formerly smooth, flawless cheek was now erupting in shades of black and blue. I fell, he said with a shrug. Themis wasn't sure what to do with it. She knew how many times that lie was used to cover up an assault. But El Nino? Well, she's seen him at work in the greenhouse. He totally could have fallen, probably with his sister's help. Or Jack Frost's. When did you see Jack Frost last? She asked. At the party, they said together. La Nina wrinkled her nose. He thought he was funny, putting snow down my brother's shirt. We treated him to our version of a polar vortex on the dance floor. She held out her fist. El Nino didn't bump it. Then Jack got back at us by turning the dance floor to black ice. We were working on our cha-cha-cha routine 1 minute and skating on thin ice the next. I would have been fine, La Nina said, but Mr. Smooth here busted his move. Then his face. Don't listen to her, Themis, he snapped. I was the one who was fine. She was moving like a 1920s flapper, and then her elbow went into my face, and we both went down. I was hoping it wouldn't swell. Themis totally bought that. In your tit-for-tat game, you two tricked Jack Frost into going out to the greenhouse. Themis looked around. I can't think of any place the personification of winter would like less. Not us, El Nino said seriously, then grinned. We had a better plan. We replaced his body wash with icy hot. He might not mind the icy, but he was going to hate the hot. La Nina giggled. Bye-bye, Jack Frost. Hello, Jack Stew. El Nino turned to his sister. Say, what if he did this to get back at us before we could get back at him? Her eyes widened. Why, that little popsicle. It's brilliant. Why didn't we think of it? Themis pressed her fingers to the throbbing vein over her eye. Are you suggesting that he did this to himself to get back at you before you did anything to get back at him? It's a superb strategy, almost as good as ours. La Nina turned to her brother. I wouldn't put it past him. Jack Frost is always up to something. Themis closed her eyes. I need an aspirin or something stronger. Sis, maybe this was Jack's way of getting everyone to pay attention to winter again. Totally makes sense, brother mine. Otherwise, we'd have to wait for the Olympics in 2026 before they thought about him again. La Nina turned to Themis. You can thank us now. We solved it for you. Jack put himself in a coma so people would want winter again. Get out. Themis pointed toward the door. Out. She headed to the brandy Mother Nature stocked for just such occasions. A soft knock came at the door. She poured 2 healthy fingers. I said out. It's me, Mother Nature said, poking her head in. Oh, come in, Mother. Themis took a long drink. It's not ambrosia, but it's a close second. Can I pour you one? Absolutely, she said, coming in and closing the door. Jack has some of his color back, but he hasn't woken up. Do you have any idea who would do this to him? I believe I do, Themis said. Assemble your guests in the main hall in 30 minutes. All right, Jack, we're at the deliberation.
All right, deliberate me.
Have you been enjoying this one? Have you heard much of it?
I've heard all of it. I've been right next to you.
That's not what I meant. My piano playing producer.
Don't worry, all sound waves went into these here eardrums.
Okay.
They vibrated. I can tell you that much.
Themis, the Titan god of justice, could use a little help on New Year's Eve here to discover, well, now it's New Year's Day, to discover who tried to nip Jack Frost. Here are her suspects in the order that they were interviewed.
Bueno.
Liam, Baby New Year 2020, who considered this his party.
Wait, so this takes place in 2020?
This takes place like right now. Baby New Year 2020 is now 4 years old.
Oh, why is it his party then? Isn't there a Baby New Year of this year?
So it's every Baby New Year's birthday party.
Oh, so New Year's is a birthday party for like every single year that's ever existed?
Yeah, that's why the oldest one's named like Ugg.
That's that's what the first numbering system was. Ugg. I heard that and I was like the boot brand.
Kind of. I didn't think of that, but yeah, Ugg.
But that's funny. I like that.
Père Noel, who came to the party even though he's on his post-holiday diet and his pants won't stay up. Alina Vera, who had a love-hate relationship with her seasonal counterpart.
Boy, okay.
And El Nino and La Nina, the inseparable twins who cause a storm of trouble wherever they go.
It can't be them. Too obvious.
Okay, here are the
I'm
facts that Themis...
I'm gaming it. We know too much about them.
Here's the facts that Themis was able to unearth. Okay. Jack left the party to eat ice cream dad style in the kitchen.
Okay.
The ice cream was found on a table with 2 spoons. Jack was later found on the greenhouse floor with a bump on the back of his head, strangled by an extra long vine, and slowly melting to death in the hothouse.
I see.
Liam said Jack was mean. That's all Liam said because he's 4. But when he screamed, his endless brothers and sisters came on the scene mob style.
Weird.
Père Noel was annoyed with Jack for the lack of white Christmases. He claimed he didn't go into the kitchen because he was on his post-holiday diet and he stayed with the party. He also didn't go into the greenhouse because he prefers his climate control setting quite a bit lower.
All right.
El Nino and La Nina were in a prank war with Jack. They deny hurting him in the greenhouse. They were too busy sabotaging his body soap.
Okay.
Alina accused Jack of cheating her out of September during their annual chess game. She claimed Jack couldn't accept that the world wanted more summer and less winter. She regularly was in the greenhouse to help Mother with the plants.
Naturally.
El Nino and La Nina admit to being in the greenhouse. They reportedly went there for strawberries to go with champagne. La Nina dropped the bubbly bottle when they found Jack.
All right.
Okay.
So here's my dissertation.
Okay.
Not the baby. Something about it feels wrong. Just intuition. I'm not going the baby route. Oh, I just found out I have pomegranate juice in my pants. I was eating pomegranate today.
Is that why we have a pomegranate in our refrigerator?
Yeah, that pomegranate was a gift.
Huh.
Darn it. Pomegranate juice doesn't come out of anything. Anyway, that aside, don't think it's the baby or the crowd of babies. Something about that doesn't seem right. You know, if they really all bum rushed Jack, he wouldn't just have one bump on the back of his head. You know,
very good logic.
That seems meditated.
Premeditated.
Premeditated.
Yeah.
Not premeditated. Yes, that's what I meant. The injury seems premeditated.
Okay.
Or spur of the moment. It seems one person with the ability to swing a bat. I don't think it's El Nino. Did I say that right?
El Nino and
La Nina. Because I do believe them that they're like innocent. The only person who seems to be maleficent in some sort of way is both Aloe Vera. Is that her full name?
Alina Vera.
Alina Vera. Yeah, hand lotion there. I could see her being mad, and she has, motive. And so does Papa Claus. I do believe... Okay, here's the thing. Santa Claus lives in a workshop in the North Pole, not outside in the North Pole. I'm assuming he's inside a lot. I get why he'd like the cold air or the cold temperature, but like, come on, he's inside for most of it. But that's probably just my complaint with the author.
Me.
Yeah. I don't think that's important to the story personally, but I don't think he did it. Something about Santa Claus being although it would fit the theme, because this is our holiday episode. So Santa Claus being a killer, that'd be a pretty good theme. He's secretly Krampus in disguise. Okay, that's my guess. He's Krampus. No, I'm kidding. I think it's aloe vera.
Okay.
Alina.
That's your final answer?
Yes. I feel iffy about it, but it's one of those two people. If it turns out to be anyone else, I'm going to throw hands with the author of this story.
All right. I hope all the listeners out there, I hope you have been doing your own happy hunting and have logged in your suspect. Before we move on, I want to remind everybody that our printed ebooks are available. So the companion book for this season, Things That Go Jack in the Night, is out along with Season 4, A Word Before Dying, and Season 5, Move It or Lose It. The dimes and quarters from book sales really do support our podcast, and they keep Jack in apparently pomegranate juice that he can, spill on his pants so that he's got to go buy more pants. All right. Now, in for a penny. Themis stood on the landing Mother formerly occupied with Father and baby Olivia. The large center hall had an unnatural hush as the assembled waited for her to speak. "Is Jack dead?" some brave souls shouted out. "No, he is not," Themis said. "Not yet, anyway. It remains true that one of you did attempt to end his life. Père Noël, Alina Vera, Liam 2020, and, dare I say, El Nino and La Nina, come forward." The crowd ebbed and flowed, much like an amorphous flock of birds soaring overhead. One by one, those called stepped forward. She looked over her suspects, studying their eyes, the window to the soul. Each of you had a reason to injure Jack tonight, but only one of you did. "Liam, 2020, she called, and the young boy shuffled back. "Temper tantrums do not solve anything. Neither does biting people. While you are not physically capable of damage to Jack, you are certainly capable of mobilizing the other baby New Year's to do it. Fortunately for you, and unfortunately for the library, had you done so, there would have been considerable damage to the greenhouse. As there was none, it is unlikely that you nipped Jack Frost." "Jack is mean," Liam 2020 said. "Liam's not mean." Themis bowed her head, accepting the statement. "Père Noël." "Now, Themis," he said, holding his pants with one hand as he chuckled. "Ha ha ha. You can't really think I hurt the boy." "It wouldn't be a stretch," she said. "Put your hands over your head, Père." He was confused, but he did it. His pants promptly fell to his ankles. His red boxers with white snowflakes showed for all to see. "What does that prove?" he asked, hurrying to collect his trousers. This wasn't a crime that could have been done single-handed. Themis nodded to his pants. "Which is how you would have had to do it, or you would have tripped. Be thankful you didn't wear your suspenders." "I'm on a diet," he grumbled. "I can't have pants in every size." Themis pinched the bridge of her nose. "El Nino and La Nina." The two were giggling manically, still pointing at Pear's midsection. Themis raised her voice. "I said El Nino and La Nina." "She didn't do it," El Nino said. "He didn't do it either," La Nina echoed. "I know," Themis said. "First, there was only one extra spoon on the ice cream, not two. Second, I witnessed firsthand your, quote, moves. If a cyclone had hit the greenhouse, you two would have been at the top of my list. As it is, I just want you out of my sight." The twins frowned at each other. "Seriously," Themis said, "get out." They did, knocking Alina to the ground. "Hey!" she shouted, climbing to her feet. "I know where you live." "Alina Vera," Themis snapped. "It was you who followed Jack into the kitchen. You he trusted enough to follow into the greenhouse and to turn his back. You hit him on the head and then grew the vines long enough to wrap around his neck. I didn't kill him, Alina snapped. No, you thought to let the heat and humidity do the dirty work, Themis snapped. Why did you do it? Mother Nature whispered asked, Olivia asleep on her shoulder. He is like a brother to you. He wanted to take back my world, Alina said. He couldn't accept that people want spring and summer more than they want autumn and winter. Things are changing the planet. They're changing the planet just to have more of me. Jack Frost and his winter were in the way. Alina, Mother said gently, everything must be in balance. If the cold places are warm, the hot places are scorching. People, plants, and animals will die. Perpetual summer isn't sustainable any more than perpetual winter. Alina shrugged. Says you. If it weren't for those twins, my plan would have worked. Themis shook her head. Fortunately for Jack, he cannot be killed simply by being strangled or struck. Jack Frost is the embodiment of autumn and winter. As long as there is snow, there is Jack Frost. A murmur rose from the crowd, serious concern given the changes in the climate. More than one promised to do more in Jack's name. Hope spread from person to person, hope that humanity would live with their eyes open and do what they could to bring Jack Frost out of his coma, to paint color and etch windows for generations to come. The end.
Called it, suckers. That's right, I won.
I thought you were betting on, you didn't bet on Santa Claus?
No,
Oh.
I said Alina. Remember I said aloe vera?
I was so worried that you were going to game this and be like, well, she's the only one who's not like a real thing, so it must be her.
I just thought I was dense and just didn't know what that was.
I was shocked to find out that at least I could not find an embodiment of spring or summer.
You could have done the god of harvest, maybe?
I suppose.
Who was she? There was a god of harvest that was...
That's not Artemis?
No, remember, it's the statue that's in the Italian... When we went to... No, not Italian. When we went to France,
yes,
we went to the big palace boy, King Louis the Gold, you know?
Yes.
And he has a...
Versailles.
Yeah, in Versailles. And he has a statue
Yes.
that we all thought was something to do with, like, plants because it seemed very summery. But it's actually harvest because harvest takes place at
You're
different
right,
times of
yeah.
year depending on the plant. But
And-
anyway,
and the
so
region.
I guess you're right. It probably wouldn't have been them because harvest is in autumn in many times. And he has autumn.
So I made up her
You're not
name.
Apollo. Isn't Apollo the god of the sun? Could have been like, I want to make everything hot.
I guess. But I wanted something that would sort of be folklorish, like balancing out Jack Frost and stuff.
Oh, Dionysus. He's the party god. He doesn't want to have 4th of July all year.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's a good one because I mean in like what's that one series of the Percy Jackson series? For some reason in that series, I think he's like trapped on the camp or whatever.
Yeah.
Is that him? I think
I
he's
think
the party
he
god
was being punished, yeah.
for doing something. I don't know. I don't like the way they portray him in that because I think he's a pretty cool god and they like pooped his party. So instead he's just an alcoholic, which granted, yeah, but all the gods
Dionysus.
are. He's Dionysus. Who wouldn't want to be an alcoholic if you could like live forever? There's no liver damage. He gives a lot of liver damage.
So did you like my characters?
I did. I liked the twins. They were strange, and also picturing them was fun. Because like they're stormy people, so like you imagine them humanoid, but if you really think about who these people were, you'd realize they wouldn't all be very humanoid. They would most likely just be like children-esque clouds. Yet at the same time, they're old enough to be. I don't know. They said they were old in the story because they are in real life. They've been around since Pangea or
Like
whatever.
weather.
Pretty much, they're ancient.
Well, I had fun I won't say researching this one, but like I was trying to use quasi-real things, and then, like I didn't want Father Time and Father Christmas, so hence it was Père Noël.
Yeah.
And then I've had to figure out who would be the investigator, so that's where I went to the Titans.
And when you say the Titans, that's what brought me to
Dionysus and everybody else.
Yeah. But Also, the mixing of that, maybe mythology isn't the right word.
Oh, I
'Cause El
mixed
Nino
a
and
lot
La
of
Nina
things.
is a real thing. But when you mix the Titans that, are trapped
Mm-hmm.
and all dead, they're not dead, but they're like trapped and they're as close to dead as they can physically be, then it's like, when does this take place? Because this technically, it takes place today.
Today.
Yet that would insinuate that the gods take place in the future. And that it hasn't happened yet. Unless for some reason this one Titan is just loose. Which actually I think it'd be really cool if it suggests that the gods haven't come yet.
I don't know. I think you gave this even more thought than I did, and I was
Think
like
about
pulling people and characters from all over the place.
Wouldn't that be awesome? I don't know much about the Titans. I don't think Greek mythology goes too far into it. At least not the part that I've researched into it. So, granted, that's not like the big pop culture thing. The Titans, it's more the gods. So maybe the Titans are really like looked into and thought about and well written. But
I don't know.
I wouldn't know.
Would you like to know more about Jack Frost?
I would love to know about my favorite character.
So, according to Wikipedia, Jack Frost has origins in Anglo-Saxon and Norse winter customs. The personification of winter in some places and winter and autumn in others, there are versions of Jack Frost found in Finnish, Swedish, and Russian folklore. Like many traditions born from folklore, there are as many differences as commonalities. In some, Jack is more monstrous, nipping fingers and toes in cold weather, and the more deadly danger of sleet, ice, and freezing cold. Beginning in the late 1800s, Jack Frost started being depicted as more of a sprite-like character, sometimes mischievous, sometimes sinister, sometimes heroic. And that was when I was looking for images. I saw a couple images of the more sprite-like one, and something about that really attracted me, so I built it around that image. Jack Frost was said to leave frosty fern patterns on windows. As alluded to in the stories, we don't get that as much as we used to because double pane windows does not do that. Jack is also sometimes depicted with a paintbrush and a bucket for painting leaves. So there's a link to the Wikipedia post on Jack Frost, and then I also have a couple of other links in there. One is about El Nino and La Nina. Yeah, there was some cool links that took me down rabbit holes. Well, that wraps up not only this episode of Mysteries to Die For, but this season and 2023. Please do support our show by continuing to listen, by subscribing, telling a mystery lover about us, giving us a review. Check out our website, tgwolff.com/podcast, for links to this season's authors. And really, as we said before, we don't do ads on this show because Jack and I can afford to do this the way we're doing it. But please do invest in the authors. Check out their backlists, buy their books, and write a review. Help other people find them. Mysteries to Die For is hosted by TG Wolff and Jack Wolff. That's us. Jack Frost's Last Etching was written by TG Wolff. Music and production are by Jack Wolff, and episode art is by TG Wolff. All right, Jack, it seems kind of weird, but I'm going to say this for the last time this year. It's your floor. Please take us out.